Welcome to the Extra Room Podcast. It's an honor to be with you. I'm here with my friend Kyle from Hawaii. This is the coolest guy ever. I mean, I know how dweebish I look next to this guy. I mean, he's a cool cat. Former Hawaii state champion in golf and served in prison, found the Lord. And I saw him speak at a church a couple weeks ago. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience. So it's an honor to have you as a guest
Thank you for having
interviewer today. Yep, really appreciate you. And then this is my guy, Josh Zieglowski. I've known him for about 20 years, and I've actually tried to get him on this podcast multiple times, and I finally got him here, so it's an honor. Josh and my network, we worked together years ago. I kind of lost track of him a little bit, and what he's done in that period of time. When we met again, I was like, my jaw hit the floor based on everything you've done between the ERC specialist, building, how many employees did you have there?
Up to 280.
280 employees, 60,000 affiliates, incredible top line revenue. And he was telling me all this stuff. I'm like, you did this in this period of time. It's really, really impressive. But what I love most about him is he hasn't lost his brand is humble. He hasn't lost his humility, and he still goes out and serves, and he tries to give back, and he tries to help as many people as he possibly can. So it's an honor. So I want to start with this because I know your mantra is who, not how.
Yeah.
I know you recently met the author. Talk to us about what does that mean? Like, what does who, not how mean?
I've always been an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. Started in real estate when I was 23. I'm 46, so half my life has been in real estate investing. Got into commercial real estate 10 years ago, and then just kind of starting in minority businesses and stuff, and then came across the book. I want to say it was probably right after the pandemic started in 2020. I was with a friend named Clay Rockwood, and we were at lunch, and he goes, "Hey, have you read this book?" And I said, "No." He goes, "You should have read that yesterday." So I always tell people, I was like, "Have you heard that book?" And they'll tell me no. And I'm like, "You should have read that yesterday." You know? So I bought it that day. It took me about just 2-3 days. I was very engulfed with it. And really what it taught me is, because what a lot of entrepreneurs do, and I was guilty of this, is we always try to figure out, like, to learn all these different skills, right? And so who, not how is, rather than trying to figure out how to do things, figure out who you can do it with that has better skills than you, or who can do it for you, right? And then even further, after reading it and starting this lightning in a bottle company, we had Ed Milet come speak to as a speaker to probably my top 50 affiliates, and he kind of uses like, I just have 2 skills. You're like, come on, you have more than 2. And he's like, no, I do this and this. I don't remember what it was. But then I kind of felt like, you know what? I have 2 skills, like 2 really good skills, and I'm minority and poor at the other ones. So if I'm minority and poor, I got to find the right who's to do stuff with me, right? And so now I take a whole different perspective of business. It's like, and sometimes people will ask me like, hey, can you like come in and be one of our partners? Well, what are you looking for? We're looking for this. I'm like, I'm not good at that. I'm only good at this and this. And so,
your lane.
Yeah. So I know my lane now. Before I would just say yes. And I'd hit that shiny object. Like, I'm going to be part of this because I want to make $1.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not going to add value, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I want to help.
I donate some of my time to the iHub. It's an incubator for entrepreneurs. And I remember sitting down with this one entrepreneur, a young guy, and he's like, hey, I have this business, that business, this business, that business. And he listed out like 7 businesses. And he used it as a badge of honor to say, hey, I've got all these incredible things. And you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my buddy Josh. I'm like, well, guess what? You're spinning 7 different plates. You can't be everything to everyone. You can't be the who for all 7 things.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to fizzle out and all your energy just goes everywhere and you don't have any focus.
It's like the saying, the jack of all trades, master of none, and I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you've done a few different things, we're all guilty of it. I've been guilty of that, of being a jack of all trades, master of none. Because at the very end of it, I'm like, I'm burnt out, and I'm like, wait, I didn't make anything this week, but I've been so busy. I'm doing like 5 or 6 different things, and then you kind of see that over time. And then reading that book, it's funny because it's like one of those books that seems elementary. You're like, that seems so easy. Like, why didn't I think about this a long time ago?
Right.
And like you say, and that was in 2020, and we're in 2026. I finally met one of the co-authors, and he's written the 2 other books. Well, co-authored with another guy, Gap in the Gain and 10X is the New 2X, and those are all awesome books. But it all started with those 2 and Who Not How, and they actually talk about that because Dan, the guy I met, the co-author, He had been doing a group called Strategic Coach for 20 plus years. That if you talk to even friends of mine today, they swear by it. They've been part of it for 10 plus years. And anyways, the co-author, the other side, I think it's Ben Hardy. He was just a student. And then he was like, hey, we should do a book together. And then they kind of developed that who, not how mentality themselves. And they talk about that in the book, so it's pretty cool.
So I want to ask you, Kyle,
Yes.
like talk to us about a who in your life that have made an impact that like really helped open doors for you. I know you have a lot of them. Like you were just talking about someone who introduced you to a golf event you're going to.
Oh yeah,
Tim Tebow.
This next month in March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a friend of yours that brought that to
Yeah.
the table, that opportunity. And what Josh is talking about is just, that's a yes.
Yeah.
That's in his lane. He knows that he can make an impact. That was a yes, but that was a who that brought that opportunity to the table for him.
Well, the thing is, even in addition to the who's, like the skills I've learned from you is sometimes you have to listen. And one of the skills I have is the connection piece is now I really listen to what, and sometimes I ask, like, what do you feel like your superpower is? Or I see it from afar. And it's easy for me to say, oh, you need this of your business in your life. You should go talk to this guy, whatever it is.
Yes.
And so I've actually learned a lot from you the last couple of years is kind of the next step of the who is who you can also refer to someone else. And kind of the same token is the hybrid of it is using the go-giver mindset from the book, The Go-Giver.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's not a transaction like, oh, I just referred you that person. You're not going to give me someone back. I don't have that mentality.
Yeah.
Technically I grew up that way. My mom was even to this day, she's a very transactional person, and so I always told myself, I don't want to be like that. I love her to death,
Yeah.
but that's something that she does,
Yeah. That's so beautiful.
Yes.
So Josh wrote a book called Take Your Shot. And I was honored because he did a book launch party and he asked me to MC. And so I read the book cover to cover. I read every page and I resonated so well with the book. And it was such a great event. We got all of his friends and family were there. And I got up and was introducing everything. And then it was Josh's turn to stand up. And Josh had notes prepared, I could see. And you speak a lot on stages, but I could tell you were visibly nervous because this is a part of your soul you're giving to the people on the stage. So you stood up there and then you brought your whole family up there. And Josh starts weeping while he's reading this and just his life story about he's a basketball player, took a shot in business, found success. And so he's trying to get through it. And his daughter sees that, he's letting the emotion show. And at one point his daughter reaches over and like puts her arm around him.
Yeah.
And like the whole audience I looked out and I was standing up front. It's like just everyone just starts bawling, and it was an amazing moment.
And I didn't know that till later. That was probably the biggest feedback I got is I had probably a dozen people was like, oh my gosh, when your daughter touched your back, I'm like, she touched my back? Like, how do you, because I mean, I was numb as I was talking, and the thing is like, as I'm gotten older, my eyesight's bad, close proximity. So I had to hurry and get glasses, and like, then it was a lot more clear. And then when tears go down your eyes, you're like, oh my gosh, like you have to take off the glasses, you have to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was cool though. And it was something I kind of put together. It took me like probably 10 tries of getting what I like to do the speech. And honestly, it was, as you know, it was, a lot of it was the support of my family, because, they've gone through a foreclosure notice on their door. They've gone through bankruptcy with me, and so, for someone to stay around, shows a lot of love, shows a lot of support. And so they're the biggest reason why I did it,
Absolutely love it. I love the book. And what I always tell people, because I meet with a lot of entrepreneurs, and Take Your Shot is something I resonate with because I find so many people just get stuck in the paralysis by analysis, and they just like, okay, I'm waiting till this thing happens. Angels have to come down and present to me, this is the right opportunity. I need this to happen. Once I do that, then I will go do it. And they always just sit on the bench and they never get in the game.
Yeah.
And it's the start that stops you, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that and what that means to you.
Well, what comes to mind right when you said that is someone who actually said, I'm going to use Jay-Z. Obviously people call me Jay-Z. Jay-Z's quote of, we were talking about a new property. And they said, well, let's just put let's put the airplane together in the air. I use that slogan all the time because I talk about paralysis versus analysis. I've kind of used the same analogy of like when you're in the airplane before it takes off, are you sitting down with the pilot and say, okay, now tell me, is everything like mechanically okay here before we go up?
Right.
You know, and honestly, that's a lot of people in business. And in the book, I actually talk about this. My own daughter, the one that, you know, put her hand on my back, she's 13 now. This is probably when she was probably 7 or 8. We went just to the hot tub one night and she goes, Dad, I want to start my own business. And I'm like, I said that for a second. I said, well, what we need to talk about is your fears, fear of failure, fear of rejection. Because a lot of people that I've talked to, that I've consulted, and then this is over probably 1,000 or 2,000 people when I was working with you, is majority of it is coulda, woulda, shoulda. You're hearing all that, and they had a fear of failure, a fear of rejection, and so I told her, I said, let's not even talk about a business plan yet. Are you willing to, you know, talk to 100 people about a product and have 99 people tell you no?
Yeah.
That's tough.
Right. It is tough.
It is.
Yeah. And that's why people don't do business sometimes. They hate that rejection.
Right.
They have 3 or 4 rejections, then they're frustrated.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm seeing these younger entrepreneurs, especially, they're so intelligent. They're so smart. They've analyzed everything. And my feedback to them is, hey, go knock some doors.
Yeah.
Go sell your product to someone. See if you can actually sell the product and see what the customer reacts to. You're going to get all this data because you've actually taken action and you've actually put it in someone's hands.
Yeah.
Right? What does take your shot mean to you?
Take your shot is you're not gonna know until you try. That's what I got out of it. And I like what you spoke about your daughter with fear. Like I believe that fear and pain is almost the same. And I went through a lot of fear and pain in my life. And most people I notice when they feel pain, when they feel fear, they stop. Yeah. But we gotta change that mindset. When you feel pain, when you feel fear, that's a signal to push forward.
Yeah.
Instead of stop and retreat.
Well, you told me a little about your story right before we got started, but same thing like financially with me when I hit rock bottom, and I could either just say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to sulk in this. I could start drinking. I could do all the bad stuff that some people do, not a lot of people, but my attitude was like, if this is the worst, the only way is up. That's the only way I can go. And that's the way I took it. And then I just continued to work harder and harder. Like I was just at breakfast this morning with a friend that's in town, and we talked about our kids, and we talked about his kid, his daughter's about the same age as my oldest, which is 19. And I said, it's always hard because as a parent, we don't want our kids to suffer, but you kind of look like how I turned a corner is when I suffered, when I had some pain. You know, we talk about the DNAS, and part of that, the A is a certain pain. Finding out what someone's pain is, and then like really making sure they understand that pain, because there's got to be a solution to it. You know, for me, the pain was like, oh my gosh, I made so many bad mistakes financially, but the only way is up. And I got to figure this out, and I'm not going to make those. Hopefully I don't make those mistakes again. I learn from it, and I got to move forward.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. I like that too. And I like that. Take your shot, like for basketball, like for you. If you're not going to know if you make the basket until you take that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you take the shot and you miss, then you know what you gotta work on to make that basket. So you're not gonna learn until you take that shot. Take that step and take the shot. Right?
Yeah.
Same like golf.
Same analogy. Like I talk about this in the book, is having a perfect practice makes perfect. Like trying to get that, but also keep shooting.
Yeah.
You got to keep shooting.
Go for it.
You know, like when I've coached my boys when they're younger, I used to tell kids all the time when, let's say I remember this one kid named Jonah, he was like 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 from the 3-point line. And he came back at halftime. He's like, I'm done shooting, guys. I'll just drive and kick. I'm like, no, you're not. You got to keep shooting, man.
Push.
And then he ended up making, I think, 2 or 3 more threes by the end of the game. But, you know, if he would have quit, that just takes away the whole business plan or the whole game plan, you know, in that case.
It's the Gretzky. You miss all the shots you don't take, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What parting advice would you have, Josh? You've already unpacked incredible things on this, principles on this that have really helped you find success. What would you say is parting remarks? Anyone watching this that's a entrepreneur trying to make it happen?
Honestly, it comes to me. I look at like I tell even my kids this to this day when they're going through school and friendships and stuff, and I always say, don't burn friendships. Build relationships and cultivate those relationships. You know, I always say, like I was saying earlier, I have 2 skills. One of them is cultivating relationships. I really feel that right when I kind of turned a corner and really cultivate those relationships and didn't put a transaction involved in it, it really helped me. And I think from afar, people respect that, you know,
Yes.
because I know I do. And that's my biggest thing. It's nothing to do with, you know, I love the who, not how, but to me, it's the relationships. It's really building relationships, finding relationships. I mean, we're here right before the X room starting here at the Ruth in Utah County, and people are coming here to either find a relationship or build upon of someone they've already met.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, that's my parting piece is, and one of my superpowers. And that's, I guess, in addition to that is really understanding what your superpower is. I mean, granted, I'm 46. I probably realized those two skills probably in my early 40s. So sometimes it takes a lot later, but no one told me to go find it though. I think Who Not How kind of helped me with that. And so if you're 20 years old, if you're 30 years old, if you're 15 years old, if you're 50, I think you really got to figure out what those superpowers are, and really think about that. Meditate, you know, meditate, even just being quiet outside and just like, what am I good at? Or what are other people telling me I'm good at? And kind of use that to your advantage.
It's so powerful. I mean, we're here at the X Room, like you mentioned. We're sitting in this space because of an intro you made.
Yeah.
So I love it. You know, so I'm a big believer. You create community, and then the community shows up for you much more than you ever know, right? All of a sudden, you're like, you start with sometimes nothing, but you start gathering people together, and you'll be amazed, like how many times people come and say, "Hey, I have a venue. You can use it for absolutely free. I have this." And so one of those intros was Josh here. He's on the board of this place at the Ruth, and he's like, "Hey, you know, people need to be seeing this place. It's an incredible place. Why don't I introduce you to them?" And sure enough, we're here in this space because of an intro.
Right.
And riches are made in the follow through. So if someone sends you an intro, follow through on that intro, and you'll find incredible things after. So excellent.
Awesome.
I mean, advice across the board, man. And it's an absolute honor to call you a friend and to have you in this community. And you're one of the leaders of the community, and an honor to have Kyle here and your advice in this as well. So I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, check us out. Make sure that you follow the X Room and the X Room podcast.